Man, I'm tired.
Me too.
Ay, Dios. Oh man, look at this.
On June 4th, 1982, a relatively small group of legionaries, but with big dreams, moved into this building. And since then, for the last 40 years, we've prayed here, we've worked here, we've studied here, and we've also slept here. But most importantly, our blessed Lord has been present in the chapel. This is cause for great joy and celebration. And that's why this year, we've been spending the year celebrating and thanking the Lord for so many blessings. Among those, one of the most important are the people. How many generations of young men have hallowed these hallways with their presence, their dreams, their sacrifices, striving to follow Christ and discover God's will in their lives. But also so many of you, so many friends and benefactors, with your prayers and your financial support, have accompanied us on this journey. Today, those of us who are here, we want to ask down God's blessings upon us. We want to encourage all of us who are here and coming to maintain this legacy and pass it on to the generations to come. And we want to invite you to walk with us on this journey of hope as we go towards the future, trusting in God's goodness and mercy. Please know that I and everyone here are praying for you. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Welcome back, everyone, to our annual Legionaries of Christ Cheshire Gala, A Journey of Hope. We are so happy that you are able to join us. My name is Father John Bender, and this is Father Nathan Torrey, and we have an exciting night planned for you.
That's right. This year we are celebrating 40 years of forming future legionary priests right here in this very house. Tonight we'd like to invite you on a journey as we walk through the halls of this place. These halls and rooms that are a witness to so many brothers and priests who began their path of following the Lord here.
We would like this gala to take an historical perspective. So we will begin by hearing the stories of some of the first novices who made the move from Orange, Connecticut to Cheshire 40 years ago.
Greetings, I'm Father Walter Shu. I have the joy and the honor of being a teacher and chaplain here at Divine Mercy University just outside of Washington, D.C. As you know, Divine Mercy is one of the flagship apostolates of the Legion in the U.S. After Cheshire, of course, where I also had the joy of teaching for 20 years. My journey to the novitiate to the Seminary of Cheshire in The summer of 1982 for the candidacy began a year earlier in the city of Rome. I was studying with the University of Dallas at the Rome campus when one evening a couple of young priests came over and offered to give us a retreat. They said that they were legionaries of Christ. Little did I realize at that moment what those words would mean for the rest of my life. The second stage of my journey to Cheshire took place a year later in the early summer of '82 when I was living with a friend of mine in a suburb of Los Angeles, California, working at McDonald's in the morning and going to the beach in the afternoon and evening, trying to find myself. That very same priest that I met in Rome happened to be out in a suburb of Los Angeles that was only 15 minutes away from where I was staying. He invited me over, and there I met a young man at the local candidacy whose name was Dana Lundberg. We had a conversation. I told him this all seems great, but it's definitely not for me. He agreed with me, and we said our goodbyes. The next time we saw each other was only a couple of weeks later. Each of us was dressed in our black and white candidacy uniform. We were walking in the courtyard of Cheshire. Now, it's a good thing that I joined the Legion right after we moved from our novitiate in Orange to Cheshire, because if I had seen those two small New England houses with all those brothers crunched in together, I probably would have turned and run in the other direction. But for me, the very scope and size of Cheshire was a sign of a flourishing institution and offered vast horizons for the future. So I stayed, and God took care of the rest. Today, I'm a happy and joyfully realized legionary priest living out my priesthood here near DC. Oh yes, and that young man named Dana Lundberg, he's now a happy legionary priest serving the church and the Legion in Brazil. Thank you. God bless all of you.
Well, we were certainly excited. Our little group of novices down there in Orange. It was very exciting. The situation we were living in there was like ma, pa, kettle at home. You know, 3 different houses running around to the main house for our mass and showering and everything, and down into our dormitories and the other rooms, our houses. And so when we drove up that driveway to Cheshire, it was like an institution. I just remember thinking that I liked that ma and pa kettle at home type of atmosphere, and suddenly we were in an institution. And I saw that driving up the driveway. It actually kind of scared me. And walking around in that house, it was so huge and everything. And then the only thing that saved me was just that, well, Christ is a king. He lives in a palace. He must be at a palace in heaven. And it must be really magnificent. So I better get used to it. I think we live a very special time. Usually novices have a month of work and a year of studies, each year. But we always laughed about having the year of work and the month of studies. Probably showed up on my grades in Rome later. But it was a happy time. We were living in a little teeny part of the building, and we would go out in little sorties out into the big wilderness of Cheshire complex, and we start cleaning rooms and changing things slowly but surely. We had a memorable experience when we were working. Father Michael Shannon was he was our cook for a snack. It started out just put out the snack. And so we would be working until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we would have a little snack. It got pretty elaborate after a while. We were cooking steak and having real meals, and then we used that as a way of promoting, of getting people, other brothers, to come and help us at night. Pretty soon everybody was signing up for working up to midnight. Those were the days, 40 years ago, and we were taught the spirit of the Legion and our charism by someone who spoke English that nobody understood. And we were trying to learn Spanish and all that, but it was great. And it's really beautiful to reminisce and look back 40 years later and see the Legion, see all the new priests that are coming out, the new brothers that are entering in, and seeing that same intrepid, joyful, enthusiastic spirit that we live back in our novitiate. I see that today, and that's one of the greatest confidence builders in my vocation, just seeing that being built upon and even growing.
My name is Phil LaQuarrie. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. I had an opportunity back in 1982 to visit and attend a retreat up here in Cheshire for the first time. And it was a powerful experience. It was absolute silence for 8 days. And my buddy Vincent invited me, and Father Bannon brought me up here, and it started me on a little journey that would take me here for a year and a half, and one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I mean, 40 years later, I'm here walking the halls at the seminary, talking to the brothers, talking to the priests, seeing how the Legion has evolved and persevered. You see these young men in the seminary coming again for the right reasons, and in a formation that's consistent from when I was here to prepare these men become the best they can be. We've all been around the Legion in one degree or another. We've all benefited spiritually, but mostly we've benefited for people who recognized what we had here and the value that was here and responded with their time and their treasure and their talents. And for those who especially supported us with their treasure, we thank them, because I believe, based on what I've seen for 22 years, this is a worthwhile investment.
What an exciting time it must have been in those early years. It's so moving to hear these priests talk about their experiences. I've always wondered what it would have been like to walk up to Cheshire after living in a much smaller place in Orange and seeing the buildings, the large fields, the forests. It must have been impressive.
It reminds me of the first time I arrived to Cheshire. I had the same experience that so many young men have had over the years. Thousands of men have come to Cheshire to see if God is calling them to be priests. Many have begun that path, and many others have found that while God is not calling them to be priests, He is calling them to walk more closely with Him throughout their lives.
One person who was instrumental in orchestrating the move of the growing novitiate community was Father Anthony Bannon. Father Anthony was responsible for finding and organizing the steps necessary for the brothers to come and live in Cheshire. Father Anthony had the vision to see in the walls of Cheshire a home for many future legionary priests.
Father Anthony passed away from cancer in the summer of 2021. We are grateful to our Lord for who Father Anthony was and all that he did to make our lives here in Cheshire possible.
The premise of all my work in the States was there's got to be vocations there. But I think we've got a message to give to the kids. We've been faithful, we've always said we're faithful to the Holy Father. We've had very difficult times, and we've followed the Holy Father. That's an irresistible message. You come with that message, and tough to say, look, this is our apostolate, this is our formation. It's going to mean you doing things that you never thought you could do, but you can do it with God's grace, and we'll give you the means.
Over the past 40 years, there have been many traditions passed on to younger generations of legionaries. One of the traditions that has been an important part of legionary life is music. From my first days as a young brother here in Cheshire, I was involved in music, and it's inspiring to see this tradition continue. This song that we want to share with you was entirely written, performed, and recorded by the brothers themselves. We hope you enjoy.
I was fishing, it was a sunny day. He got in my boat and he called my name. Since that moment, I left everything behind. I walked with him side by side. I walked on water and I fell. He pulled me out and then he says, would you say I am? from within my heart. I am before you, but I still am blind. I walked on water and I fell. He pulled me out and now he says, who do they say I am? Some say John the Baptist and others Elijah. Who do they say I am? Some people say you're crazy and maybe you are. Who do you say I am? I have no idea, but you changed my life. You changed my life. I hear this voice in my heart. The Father tells me who you are. Who do you say I am? What am I waiting for to open my eyes? Who do you say I am? You are everything that my heart desires. Who do you say I am? Now I am convinced that you are the Christ. You are the Christ. Come and follow me and don't be afraid.
I'm always blown away by the gifts and talents that each brother has and how they share them with the community and beyond. Thank you, brothers, for that meaningful song.
Music really does bring joy to the brothers and priests here in Cheshire. Another thing that brings them joy is, of course, well-prepared meals.
That's right. One family in particular that has made that possible is Bizzuto's. The Bizzuto family has been helping feed our seminarians almost as long as we have been here. Please join us in watching this short video we dedicate to them. Thank you, Bizzuto's, for feeding us these past 40 years.
Hello. 40 years ago, I arrived here in Cheshire, Connecticut as Vice Rector, first Vice Rector of the seminary here in Cheshire. My name is Father Donald O'Keefe. 40 years ago, things were different. And because I was Vice Rector, one of my main worries was, how do we put enough food on the tables for the brothers? We had a community of, I thought of about 60 brothers, and how are we going to be able to feed them? I remember, for example, sometimes there was very little. What did they have for lunch? What did they have for dinner? Perhaps dinner were leftovers from lunch, and lunch was what it was, and breakfast might be a cup of coffee. I can't remember, but I mean, the thing is, many things I do remember, and I can remember that this was a big worry. One thing I especially remember is what we could call the powdered eggs. The powdered eggs were a gift from a person. We had a year's supply of powdered eggs, a year's supply. And what's powdered eggs? Well, you take them out of the box, you put them in a pan, put water on top, mix it up, and that's your powdered eggs. And that was served to the brothers morning after morning after morning after morning after morning, until one day a brother went knocking on the door of a local suppliers, Bizzuto's, and that's when things changed. And that's when things changed to such a degree that we were able to serve the brothers a variety of vegetables, a variety of fruit, a variety of other things as well, and meats as well, thanks to our good friends in Bizzuto's, who, by the way, have been feeding us for the last 40 years. So things have changed. Yes, they have in a certain sense. And it's nice to see that the brothers eat good food and that they have 3 decent meals every day and that they don't have powdered eggs. They have lots of other stuff. And they deserve it because they're giving their lives to Christ. They have given up a lot. They have come from different countries. They're learning English when they come here. They might speak it, they may not. But it is so nice to see that 40 years down the road, things are improving and will continue to improve. And that's thanks to the generosity of so many good people who are helping us and continue to help us because they believe in us. We have a responsibility to those people. But I would just like to say to them for now, thank you for being friends for the past 40 years. And don't forget, we still need your help. God bless you.
Hi, this is Father Scott Riley. In 1984, I started my novitiate in Cheshire, Connecticut. And not too long after that, that was in 1995, I became the vice rector, and I was there for 2 years. Vice rector is basically like a facility manager. He makes sure that everyone is fed, that the house is clean, that there's gasoline and in the cars, and the food, though, was never a problem. And the reason why it was never a problem is because we have had, since 1982, I believe, the Bizzuto family supporting Cheshire with food. I never, ever, ever had to worry about putting food on the table because the Bizzuto family was there. Fresh vegetables, eggs, milk, you name it. Twice or 3 times a week, we'd get a truckload, and we had a lot. In 1995, we probably had 150 seminarians in Cheshire. So that's a lot of food and a lot of hungry mouths, and they were always there. So I am indebted to them, and pray for them, pray for Cheshire, our wonderful seminary. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Bizzutos. Thank you also to the many families and benefactors who helped put food on the table.
One of the ways we like to say thank you to our benefactors is through the Brother Anthony Freeman Award, which we award each year to a friend and benefactor who has shown continued support towards the formation of seminarians.
Brother Anthony was a classmate of mine who passed away a few months before our ordination. He was a happy and joyful inspiration to us all. I am grateful to continue his memory through this award.
This year, we are excited to honor David and Kim Hanna. Thank you, David and Kim, for your many ways of supporting the Legion of Christ and the brothers in Cheshire.
David, I want to thank you so much to you and Kim for so many years of support for the seminary and for the Legionaries of Christ. I want to honor you with this Brother Anthony Freeman Seminarian Formation Award for 2022. And thank you for so many years of friendship and support.
Well, thank you very much, Father. That's very kind of you. I am, both Kim and I are honored to be given this award by the Legion. We've been involved with the Legion, as you know, for more than 25 years now. One of the things that has moved both of us over the years has been to see the young men that are being formed at the seminaries, both here in Cheshire as well as in Rome. And we know that legionary priests have helped us to raise our children better, helped us to be better people. But importantly for us and our support of the Legion is we think that the work being done at seminaries, especially forming those soldiers to go out and evangelize and save more souls, that we think that the work that the Legion is doing and has been doing over the last 25 years that we've been involved has really been one of the things that has helped the church incredibly, and we believe it's one of the most effective ways to help the universal church. So thank you for this award, and we're excited for this gala and hope that you all will support the Legion as you've done in the past, and especially all the efforts for the seminarians here in Cheshire.
Thank you, David, and be assured of our prayers for you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
God bless.
Thank you again to the Hannas for their support. They're an example of numerous friends and families who have donated over the last 40 years to support the brothers in Cheshire. These gifts have allowed brothers to continue on this journey of hope for over 4 decades.
Some of these same brothers would like to share their own perspective on life in Cheshire while looking ahead to the next 40 years.
Growing up, I always heard stories from my dad. He always told me about these priests, these legendary fathers like Father Anthony Bannon, Father Baedes, so many fathers, Father Lorenzo Gomez. And after hearing all these stories, I finally got to come to Cheshire, which is like the HQ of all these amazing priests. And that for me was really big.
This is the only place that we have about humanities in the Legion. So all of the brothers come from so many different countries, and we start here humanities.
We got up at 5:45 every morning to Christ our King, saying, "Thy kingdom come," jumping out of bed, getting ready, and running to the chapel.
Well, we start in the morning with our 1-hour meditation, where we put ourselves in the presence of Christ, of our Lord, of Mary, and we start with our Mass. After some classes, we have conversation time with the brothers, where we, of course, share how did our class went, but also we share about our families, about our friends, about the different situations from our country, because here we are a lot of different nationalities all together.
To relax a little bit, we walk around out here in this beautiful courtyard, outside around in the gardens. It's very refreshing, very nice.
And then we have housework, so we have time as well for work. And depends of the brothers. There are some brothers that have hard work and maybe another one's easy work. But it's something that can help us to be responsible and to grow in that responsibility that we are having now in this moment.
And then other things throughout the day. Once in a while we'll have recreation, like on Wednesdays and Sundays. Mostly we play Fubito out there in the gym on that side of the house, or we'll play way over down there in the soccer fields, or basketball. Just a good way to really, after all that studying, you're feeling a little bit tense or energized, just to get all that energy out in sports, scoring those goals. And then we also have meals together, some in conversation. It depends on the day. Some we listen to readings on history or somebody's biography, board games, which are really fun, and just fostering that community life in a great variety of ways.
And then in the evening, there's a lot of space for study, which involves the study of the program, but also the study that each brother wants to make. There are some brothers that are very interested in the stars and astronomy. There are others that are very interested in the light and the photography. So that's also very good. For example, my interest on my free time, it's always the Bible. I'm like a Bible fan.
And not to forget the most important part, which is the time of prayer we have together in front of the Eucharist in adoration. And that really strengthens the bond between us. The fact that Christ has called each one of us to be there together, to adore Him with each other, and to live with Him as His apostles.
Here in Humanities is a very vast program, so we learn starting from the classical languages, Latin and Greek, but also communication. We have a communication course that really helps us to engage with the people and with the youth people and help us to give us this basic material that we need. And also different classes regarding literature, art, music, that really touch the different areas of our program of Humanities.
One of the things that are really interesting for me is Western civilization, where we can learn about all of the civilization that were here in the world before, and we can see how the mentality that they had before is the mentality that is still here in this moment around the world.
The heart of the human being is still asking and searching what civilizations have taught us. So the study of Humanities, see how other people have tried to answer these problems, gives me and my brothers a very wide variety of tools to engage with these people. For sure, there have been many difficult areas during my years in humanities. For example, leaving the family behind, your culture. I'm from Mexico, being here in US. I know that my family is very happy that I'm here, not because they want me out of the house, but because they are just loving the fact that I'm here following Christ, which is an adventure in itself. Every struggle, in one way or another, is an opportunity to come back to God. And I think a very good way to do that is through the brotherhood. In those moments of struggle, when you think you're alone, and then a brother comes and tells you, hey brother, I'm here for whatever you need. So just these moments of brotherhood, and at the end, the time we spend on the Eucharist, it's just very comforting. I'm 100% sure that 4 years ago, that the priests, the brothers that were studying here, maybe with a vision, with an illusion, they had no idea that we will be here right now 4 years afterwards. And maybe 4 years later, somebody else can be remembering this moment. And I can only go before the Lord and kneel down and say thank you that I am right now here, because we're standing on the shoulders that built this. And now we are collecting the fruits, but it's also a responsibility for us to keep planting for future generations.
There are actually many people who help to keep this place alive and to keep building it up. The building didn't build itself. The food doesn't just jump on our plates. The professors don't all just volunteer and say, I'm going to work for you full time. It's really the Regnum Christi members, the parishioners, and all our benefactors around the world who have made this place possible and kept it alive.
So now if there's someone, maybe like me, a young person there that is looking at this, I would ask him to remember these words. Do not be afraid to open the doors of your heart. Why? Because Christ might be asking you to come and join us. And not just come and join us like if we were like a human organization, but it's more a John 1 in the Gospel question. What are you looking for? Come and see.
As legionaries, our great desire is that the message of Christ reach the hearts of all men and women, and even society itself. This desire inspires our mission to help establish the kingdom of Christ in our world.
We work hand in hand with lay people all over the world to achieve precisely that. And we ask you to listen now to one of our Regnum Christi members in New York, Val Sprague, as she shares her thoughts on supporting the brothers in Cheshire.
Hello everyone, my name is Val Sprague. I'm Regnum Christi and I'm speaking to you from Tri-State. It is my honor this evening to talk about our wonderful benefit and to invite you to participate even further. Our theme this year is 40 for 40. I love this theme, and my husband and I love Cheshire. Our seminary is very special to us. It's not only special because the grounds are beautiful and holy, but we have the wonderful brothers that are always present. Dozens and dozens and dozens of brothers have passed through the halls of our seminary at Cheshire, Connecticut. And our 40 for 40 theme is the anniversary of our seminary for 40 years and the need for 40 scholarships. A scholarship is $33,000 a year. But let's not get into the details until we talk about why this is such a beautiful night for the Legion of Christ, for Regnum Christi, and to support our brothers in their formation pathway of 13 years. Right now, we look at the celebration and we look at the support that we need, but we think about what the Lord is calling us to. 40 years of legionaries of Christ that have gone through this seminary and all those that will go in the future. I would love to think about the number 40 for a second, because when I look at that, and I certainly can't speak as eloquently as the legionaries of Christ could, but we think about Christ and we think about the 40 days that he spent fasting and praying in the desert in preparation for his public ministry. We think about ourselves as lay people and what we offer during our Lenten sacrifices, our time of prayer and preparation leading up to our beautiful Easter Sunday. But every time we think about that, we can also equate that to the brothers. The 51 brothers that we have at Cheshire right now, they are going to go through a tremendous process of preparation and prayer, growth, transformation, all for Christ. Christ has called each and every one of them. This is our next generation of legionaries of Christ. And in 40 for 40, we think about what that formation will give us in the future, what it gives to each one of us, to our families, to our grandchildren, to the church, what it gives us in terms of holy priests in building up Christ's kingdom here on earth. Each of us has a beautiful story. Every single one of these 51 young men have said their yes to Christ. Their mothers and their fathers have also said yes to Christ. And when we think about that story, I heard a beautiful story the other night from two young brothers that are at the seminary right now. We were blessed to have them in our home at an apostolic event for Catholic couples. And I sat and ate dinner with them and I said, brothers, tell me your story. And one of the young brothers, Father Juan, and the other brother Gabriel, both shared how Christ called them. And my heart was so affected by Brother Juan because he was called by Christ as an 8-year-old, as an altar boy, serving, holding the Eucharist. Christ called him in the Eucharist. And then they said, Val, tell us your story. And my story is not as profound as that. But for me, it changed my life with a young legionary of Christ, Father John Connor, who is now our Superior General, my first spiritual director. In my first spiritual direction session, he advised me to go deeper. Here I am today, giving my yes to Christ again, my yes to this beautiful mission. And I'm going to ask you that. What is your story? What is your story with a legionary of Christ? How has God called you? What is God asking of you right now? He is asking Jeff and I to continue to support these beautiful brothers, the holiness that they represent in the holy priesthood in the future. We need those 40 scholarships, $33,000 a scholarship. Every donation is precious and beautiful. But think about, my friends, what is God asking of you? If you can do a scholarship, if you can do 2 scholarships, I ask you to pray about that. In any way that you participate, we bless these brothers with our goodness and we give back to God through our own generosity and blessings. I thank you for your goodness. I thank you for your participation. And I thank you for supporting these brothers in this mission. 40 for 40, folks. God bless you.
From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your support over the years. If we have been able to sustain the hopes and dreams of so many young men during these 40 years, it is because generous people like you have been with us, shoulder to shoulder, supporting the Legionaries of Christ, because of your love for the church.
Thank you. Your generous support of this ministry pours hope into our hearts. Looking back over these 40 years of history, we see it has truly been a journey of hope. Please continue to hope with us. Continue to walk with us. Thank you. God bless you, and good night.